Assalamu alaikum, dear participants. This is Sumbal Daniel, your facilitator on Single National Curriculum. This is your day 3 and activity number 3. The topic is teaching strategies. So let's have a look. As you know that most of the people find mathematics very boring and uninteresting, whereas it is not like that. The only thing is that teachers should be doing a proper lesson planning and devising the hands-on activities like puzzles, quizzes, and games to make mathematics a fun subject. Here we have some of the teaching strategies. These are 8 strategies: demonstration approach, inquiry-based learning, problem-solving approach, brainstorming, math lab approach, discovery approach, cooperative learning, and practical work approach. So let's have a look at these activities one by one. The first strategy is demonstration approach. In this approach, the teacher involves the learner in the learning process. For example, you can look into this picture that the teacher is creating interest with fun activities using these gadgets. There are different shapes, colorful shapes and objects on the table. These are, I can see that these are hexagon, square, pentagon, etc. And you can observe that this lady, who is actually a student, she seems to be taking interest into the learning activity. So this is actually the demonstration approach, in which the teacher tries to do something physically and then he invites the student to also learn something and discover new things, and then draw the relevant information for herself. Well, the second teaching strategy is inquiry-based learning. What is inquiry? What is this? Here you can see a big question mark. So, as you know that inquiry means to asking, to trying to know, or questioning. Now, I have a question for all of you, that how do you promote the questioning culture in your classroom? I'm giving you half a minute to think about it. I hope that all of you will come up with different answers. You must have come across different questions in your classroom by your students. These questions may include how, why, where, and when. So, it is a teacher's responsibility to do not get irritated by these kind of questions during the lecture, because when a student is inquisitive, it is the time when the learning starts. So, in this modern era, teacher is not the one who just tries to give the factual information to the students, but the good teacher is the one who welcomes the questions, or he provides the student with a problem or question for the learning process. So in this way, the students try to understand or draw their own intuitions or conclusions. The third strategy is brainstorming. Now, what is brainstorming? Is it some kind of storm in your head or your brain? Okay, so brainstorming is basically a strategy which stimulates creativity among learners. Now, my question is that who is a learner? Is student a learner? So, the first thing that might have come into your mind is that student is a learner. But to tell you that learning is a two-way process. So, when a student learns, a teacher also learns. So, brainstorming is a strategy in which the teacher and the students, they both involve in creating the ideas. So these are some of the phases in 4 points: identification of a situation, generation of an idea, evaluation of an idea, and solution, implementation, and evaluation. To understand this, I will give an example. For example, in a classroom, the teacher and the students have identified a situation that there is COVID, so all of them are at risk. Now, in this picture, you can see that they are having a process of brainstorming by exchanging the ideas. So they generated some ideas, and after sharing the mutual ideas, they came to a conclusion: if they have sanitizer or soap in their classroom, then, and taking some other precautions, they can avoid the risk caused by the COVID. Evaluation of an idea, it can cover that cost of what is the cost of the soap and sanitizer, and at the end they implemented this idea or this evaluation into their classrooms. How many of you remember about your physics lab or your chemistry lab? Do you remember that you were working in your math lab when you were a child? Hopefully no, because when you were a kid, most probably at that time math labs were not established. But now this is 21st century and there are math labs in most of the schools. So in this method, the children work in a small group. They are allowed to move around and discuss and choose their material, and then doing their tasks or finding the new things and about mathematics. In this picture, you can see that the children are working in maths lab. So, what do you think? Is it good for the students to work in math lab? If there is no math lab in your school, can you generate some idea or talk to your management that how can you establish a small math lab in your school for the children? Dear participants, now there is approach number 5. This strategy is discovery approach. Now, you can see in this picture that the teacher has engaged the students into some kind of practical work. You can see on the table that there are some blocks and some papers and some geometrical objects with which the students are working. So I think that this teacher has provided this material to the students to bridge the theory and the practice. So I think they are having some kind of practical approach over here. So basically the discovery approach means to engage learner, construct new knowledge on the basis of the previous knowledge. Now, as a teacher, this is my favorite strategy, favorite teaching strategy, and it is practical work approach. You can see in these pictures that the children have worked in the lawn or some garden, and most probably they had been working with fractions. And what is happening in this picture? A little boy and a girl, they are standing in a garden and they are using some kind of circular shape. So I think they might be studying about geometry. So in this approach, learner manipulate concrete object or perform activities to arrive at the conceptual understanding of phenomena. So in this kind of approach, the students can move around in the garden, they can work in open field or the school ground or anywhere else where they are safe to study maths. Do you like this strategy personally, being a teacher? I personally like it, and one of the reason is that among corona crisis during pandemic, this is the safest way of teaching the kids in open farms or fields or yards. Another interesting strategy is problem-solving approach. Let's have a look at the problem-solving loop. Now you can see that there are 5 steps to teach this strategy or to use this strategy in your teaching process. The first step is to identify the problem. You can see this man, he's holding a magnifying glass and he's trying to figure out the problem, that what is the actual problem. Now in the next step, another boy, he is jotting down something on the paper. So he might be trying to figure out that what is the possible, that what are different possible solutions to this problem. In the third step, a best idea is selected out of that. And in the fourth step, build and test the idea. Means you can see in this picture, this man is working with some tools. So it means that he is practically implementing the plan. And number 5 is evaluating the result. So at the end, one can or a group can evaluate that is their problem solved using this problem solving method or not, or they have to do this process or go through this cycle once again. Now last but not least, cooperative learning. So you can easily infer from the name cooperative learning that there might be some cooperation kind of learning going on. So actually the students work into small groups to achieve some common goals. For example, you can see in this picture that there are 4 persons and they have completed a puzzle. 4 of them, each of them are holding one piece of the puzzle, and finally they jot it down and come to the solution. So in such kind of small group activities, the main idea is that fast learners help the slow learners during the lesson. So there are some tangible benefits as well of using this teaching strategy. So now here I would take a pause and I would ask you, can you tell me that what are the benefits of using this strategy? Yes, as we can see in this picture, that because of the group work, they are more social, they come close to each other, they become more friendly, and they also learn to take the turns. Then they try to learn to share. So this is also a very good strategy to teach at the primary level, especially mathematics. I hope that you enjoyed learning teaching strategies, and I believe that you would use most of these strategies, especially the practical ones and according to the present scenario of COVID-19 in your classes. Thank you and goodbye.